How you going, people? Gonna talk about a little. Somebody had a question about should you look at a cop or can a cop pull you over because you look at him or how you look at him. So I wanted to. I don't know if y'all remember. If y'all been watching me for a while, I had a bat that I used to run around in when I was working or investigating a case. And I don't know, it just made me think more, and I was playing softball at the time, so I was always kind of like improving my grip or my swing and all that stuff. So I had a little bat, it was a little shorter than this, that I kept in my cubicle at my desk. And whenever I was talking about a case, or sometimes I'd be on the phone, or I'd be on the speakerphone, and I'd be doing this and talking to other investigators, whatever, but people kind of knew me. If somebody came in the office looking for Detective Gore, they'd be like, he's the one with that red bat. He'll be holding a bat, swinging it. And that's how they would describe me, because I used to stand around, I'd walk the halls, I'd go make my visit, having coffee. Hey, what's going on? I always have my bat and swinging it, and people would be like, damn it, there's freaking Rick swinging that bat in the hallway. But anyway, after watching the Walking Dead series, I decided to make me a Lucille. And in case somebody's wondering how I made it, pretty simple. I just cut some old barbed wire that I have some fences. I put one piece right across here, and then a second piece right across here. I use these little, like I call them U-screws. They've probably got some technical term. Where's my finger at? And I just pounded that in. I would have used a little bit longer. These are a little short. They popped out, so sometimes I had to put 2 or 3. And then I kind of tacked it along the way so it wouldn't move. But winding it up was the hardest part in making Lucille. What I ended up doing is putting a long strand of barbed wire in my vise. I hammered it on here, and then I got out here with both hands and was able to pull tight while I twisted and bring it in. But the problem is, it's kind of a two-man job. Once you get it wrapped around 5 or 10, it wants to unwind if you release pressure. So I had to keep pressure and roll it, roll it, roll it. Then kind of hold it. I tied it to the vise, and then I tacked in a couple of these. You can tell right here, I just saw this one. This one isn't even in there like good. Not doing a whole bunch of good, but I just kind of tacked those in, and then if you see the white stuff here, I put 2 coats of polyurethane on this part, kind of just to hold the nails in so water and moisture wouldn't get in where the nails are at. And it makes it a little bit easier for me to grab, so it's not quite as, it kind of coated it with that 2 coats of poly. I was going to put a couple more polys. You can tell I had it hanging and it dripped down. But anyway, let's get back to talking about, and like I always tell you, you can't be making weapons and carrying weapons around that you can hurt people with. So this isn't to be used on people. However, it does have a legitimate use. I have a lot of cows. Sometimes they get through and they got bulls, and the bulls can get kind of aggressive. So this will help move a cow, keep them away from kicking me, because they don't like the barbed wire, so I can kind of push them back. And if I got to whack them, I can. Don't be calling Pete on me, because unless you've been knocked around by a bull or pushed by cattle and seeing how tough they are, they don't want to move sometimes. They'll just run over you. So anyway, this is to protect me when I'm riding around here. If cattle gets in my yard, I run in some wild pigs or something. It's to keep the cattle and pigs off me. It's not for using on people. That would probably be illegal. But anyway, I digress. So let's talk about when you're looking at a cop or when you're driving. Do cops pull people over because you look at them? It depends. You know, all legal things, a lot of things with a horse, a lot of things, my answer is always it depends. Because there's always more factors and things that you can figure in. The more you understand, the more you're going to figure it out. So if you just look at me and I'm a cop driving around, big deal. I mean, I'm a cop. I know people are going to see me. They're going to recognize me. They're going to look. They're going to see if they know somebody. You can tell when somebody looks at you if they're looking at you kind of like he's looking out of his car into your car. Versus if somebody is looking and they get nervous. If they give you that look and immediate look away. If they're looking at you by trying to keep their head straight and their eyes are looking at you kind of like you don't know. If they're doing something like that, if there's immediate when they see you, there's movement in the car. There's conversation and somebody says, shit, it's a cop. So it's not so much the look that will get you pulled over, it's the behavior and things around it. You know, black people always want to say the cops stop you because you're black. Cops don't stop you because you're black. If I see a black guy in a car and he's dressed decent with a collared shirt or a tie, his hair is groomed, he looks like a decent guy, his car doesn't look like a piece of crap, he doesn't look like he's all nervous, he looks like he's going to a job or coming from a job, he looks like a decent person, I don't give him a second look. If I see a black guy in a car with a do-rag on, with tats down his neck, and he's got his music thumping, and he looks like he's got no job, and he's got a cigarette hanging out his butt, or he throws a cigarette butt out the window, and he's got tape over his tail light from it's in a wreck, and his car's got dents all over it, look like he's been using it in bumper car races, then I'm probably going to give that guy a second look. Am I going to do it because he's black or because he looked at me? No. Remember, totality of the circumstances is always the key, and cops usually put facts and things together that, you know, the courts have said you can't go on a hunch. Cops can't go on a hunch. Well, that's because cops didn't know how to define what a hunch is. You can go on a hunch. People will say, no, the courts say you can't. Well, I'm telling you, you can, and it's legal. You just have to define your hunch. My hunch is, I'm in a high crime area where I have warrants for 14 different black guys who are 5'10", 120, 150, black and brown, with a tat on his neck. Okay? And I have all these warrants. And there's a black guy there that looks about that description, then it's not a hunch. People say, oh, you can't just stop on a hunch. It's not a hunch. You can call it a hunch, but I'm putting facts and circumstances together that lead me to believe this is the probable outcome. Kind of like calling a hunch, you know, if I drop this bat, it's going to hit the ground. That's not a hunch. I mean, it's only a theory of gravity. We understand why it's going to hit the ground. We know it's heavy and it's going to fall, but it's not a hunch. Now, if you made a bet that if I threw this bat, that it would hit the ground, most people would bet on that. But, you know what? If I got a hollow bat, filled it with helium, and made it real light, I could fool you, and maybe it would float instead of hit the ground. So, a hunch is more of a combined facts that cops used to just act on, and they didn't really know how to explain it. And most of the time they were right, because their hunch was actually facts that they probably didn't even know they were recognizing, whether it's body movement, positioning. When a guy sees you, he immediately reaches for his back. He tries to conceal, he starts changing his walk. He looks nervous, he gets stiff. He gives you target glances. All those things, most people be like, man, that guy looks suspicious. Well, you can't say a guy's suspicious, Rick. That's a hunch. And the court says you can't go on hunches. Well, I'm telling you, cops get hunches and they get uneasy feelings, and most of the time they're right. And they're probably seeing things subconsciously they don't even know, but it's just triggering in the mind. And the more you're exposed to things, you know, it's like working with horses. People tell me, oh man, you're really good with horses. I'm Hokey! What are you doing? Little monkey came out, say hi. Say hi to you tubies. Hi, Dad. I don't know where you were at, but you come running down here like an old crazy cat. You come running down here like an old crazy cat. Because he's a good boy. I know, he's a good boy. He's been really sensitive right here. I don't know if he got bit or something happened, but when I touch him there, watch his little ears. This is a hunch. When I pet this cat here, he's okay. But when I pet him here, look at it. Look at the change in behavior. As I pet him more aggressively, look at the change in behavior. Look at that. Look at him telling me, hey. That's not a hunch. You can predict behavior from what you're doing. And cops learn to do that on the job. And just like you can read an animal, or I can read a horse well, because I work with horse a lot, people go, oh, he's a horse whisperer. Oh, you've got a special gift. You're so lucky. It's all about paying attention to the small things. And horses will teach you that, but cops will teach you that too. The helicopter. Say hi to Lucille. Say hi, Lucille. Hi, Lucille. So, helicopter coming over to see my come and take it flag. I'm on a flight path. So, I guess the question is, if you look at a cop, should you look at him or should you not? Will that increase or decrease your chances of getting pulled over? It depends. If you don't look at him, it may make the cop look at you a little bit more. He may go, why isn't the guy looking at me? He looks nervous. What's wrong with this picture? Why am I getting an uneasy feeling? If you look at him and kind of nod your head or say how, and you ignore him, you know, some cop may go, why is he being so friendly? He's up to something. He's going to put other factors in play there. What kind of car you're driving. I know people are going to tell you it's stereotyping. You can't judge people just because someone's poor, just because. Look, you can make up all these stupid excuses that not all rattlesnakes bite, so you go play with freaking rattlesnakes, and when you get bit, you're shocked. I'm telling you, when you look at a cop or don't look at a cop, he's not judging on that one fact. What kind of car, how you're dressed, how other passengers are. I'll tell you what, if I'm in a hood and I've got a car that I know is a piece of shit, that's very common because all the thugs drive it, and I know they don't have insurance on it because they can barely pay their registration, and the registration is probably stolen, and I run the plate and it comes back expired, yet it has a sticker on it that says it's not expired, that's a clue. So there's all kind of factors that are going to go into play. If you look at a cop and don't look at him, maybe he'll run your plate, maybe he won't. Maybe he'll look at the passengers. If I see a woman driving and I see 3 adult young males in the car, white, black, or Hispanic, my mind is saying something's up, because guys usually drive. Oh, you can't judge, Rick. That's sexist. I don't care what you say. I'm telling you, in the hood, crooks always have the girl drive, because cops won't give them a second look. They're less likely to pull them over. She's probably the only one with a damn license who ain't got a bunch of tickets, so they always have the woman drive in the hood. When you see a woman driving men around in the hood, that's a clue. The people in the car are either suspended, they got a warrant, they can't get a license, they're behind on child support, their license suspended. There's all kind of factors on why those guys aren't driving that car. But you can go ahead and live in liberal la-la land and go, oh, we're equal and men and women can drive. Whatever. Shoot, I saw a buddy out there. I thought that was a different horse. I was like, damn, he don't even look like it. It rained last night, so kind of washed them off. Everything's kind of damp. So anyway, will a cop pull you over? Probably not. If you do other factors, maybe. Maybe he'll pull you over if you look suspicious. I pulled people over because they had flushed cheeks and their cheeks were red. You can't do that. That's not against the. You're a boot jackhammer cop. Shut up, you big dummies. From my training experience, I know that when somebody has flushed cheeks, it's a sign they're drinking alcohol. Yeah, it can be they just worked out. Yeah, it can be they just have. Could be they have high blood pressure. I don't care about all that. I'm telling you, when I see somebody with flushed cheeks, they're driving slow, they're nervous, they're looking ahead, their eyes are glassy, they seem to be kind of slow on the take on things, they're moving. It's a sign they're under the influence of alcohol. So, and I've made many stops, and you know what? Most of the time I was right. They were under the influence of alcohol. So, I mean, when I was working a DUI task force, that was great. When I wasn't working a task force and wasn't looking for drunks, I didn't really care. Unless I wanted to pull you over for something else. If I thought you had drugs, weapons, were in a gang, then I might use that as PC. But the longer a person, that's why cops are judged over their overall experience. That's why cops are not judged by one standard. Everybody wants to say, that cop can't do that. You don't know. I can get a warrant for things that a young officer cannot get a warrant for. Even though the qualifications to get a warrant or what you need, the requirements to get a warrant is the same, I can write a warrant that a judge will approve where a 1 or 2 year officer could not write that warrant, could not get it approved. Because I'm going to be able to articulate why I believe what I believe through my experience, training, and time in the job. Whereas a younger officer is going to have to, he can't rely on that. He's going to say, well, I was out of the academy for 6 months and that's my experience in training. Most judges are going to be like, no, dude, you need to go talk to somebody else and see if they agree. And we would do that a lot for warrants. If I wanted to get a warrant, somebody wanted to get a warrant, let's say for auto theft, and they thought it was kind of weak, and the guy writing the warrant, this was his first auto theft warrant, he would call me. And I would talk to him, and I would ask him questions. Well, do you have this, that, and that, and what about this? And he would explain his case, and I'd be like, you know what? that sounds reasonable to me. I'd probably get that warrant too. I think you got a good warrant. Now, in his warrant, he can put, I talked to a senior detective with so many years of experience and training who currently works all of that task force, and he said he concurred and he agreed. Now he'll get the warrant approved. He may have not got that warrant approved without talking to me, because a judge now, my statement, he has to sign the warrant saying it's true. So now I can be subpoenaed by the defense to say, did you talk to him about this warrant? Well, why? And now I'm going to be able to articulate through my experience a lot more and better than this young officer will. But it doesn't change his warrant. His warrant is still accurate and it's still good, but he may not have been able to get that warrant without that. So a lot of young officers, if they're smart or if they have people teaching them, they will talk to senior investigators, and they'll always put in their warrant. I've discussed this with other investigators or other detectives in my office. I've discussed this with people that actually work a drug task force, and they tell me this is a common scheme of design, and they've worked several warrants on this, and I talked to so-and-so, and he said blah, blah, blah. And you put that, and it makes it much stronger, and it makes it, it triggers whether or not the judge will sign it. Remember, the judge only has to sign it if he believes there's a fair probability that you'll find evidence. And you know what? You got to tip those scales. If you go in there as a young officer and you try to do short one-paragraph warrant, judge is going to be like, you know what? This doesn't sound good enough. Even though the DA has to review it and DA goes, yeah, that makes sense. The DA sometimes, especially young DAs, will add in things in their own mind from their experience, and that's why they approve the warrant. When in fact, they should be articulating those questions to the officer saying, look, I think you got a good warrant and I'll sign it, but I think it would be better or stronger if you did ABC. And you know what? Then they'll teach the officer to be a better officer, they'll get a better warrant, and then they look better when they sign it. I've had plenty of warrants signed by DAs, and the judge goes, now, go back and get me this. Even though the DA said, and the reason the DA has to sign it is the DA is the one that's going to defend it. They're the one that's going to be using your warrant and your evidence in court, and they're saying, you know what? This is a good legal warrant. I'm going to be able to get this in and use it. I got no problem with it. Even after the DA says that, the judge will still say, not good enough. I need you to look at that. The one judge, and I like taking my warrants to him because he wouldn't let no bullshit warrant go through. Ramsey, Judge Ramsey. I doubt if he's a black guy, black judge in Sacramento. And man, let me tell you, I like that judge because he didn't play no bullshit. Wasn't about color, wasn't about who. It was about freaking the law. And I loved it. When you walked in his courtroom, because we'd be warning a warrant and we'd need a judge to sign it, and they'd be in the middle of court, and the only judge that was in there happened to be him, so we'd always walk in his courtroom holding our warrant, and he'd see us, we'd have our gun, our badge on, our little vest or whatever. He knew we were cops, even though we were undercover, and he'd look at back there, and we'd see the paperwork, and we'd kind of like show him, we got a warrant. He goes, all right, we're going to take a recess. I got to look at this officer. I think he has a warrant for me. And then we'd go back to his chambers, and he'd read the warrant. And you know what? He read the freaking warrants. I hated judges that didn't read the warrant. They thought they were being cool and doing me a favor. I did not like when judge didn't read the warrant. You know, I want my warrant to be right. I want to be correct, and I want him to do it. Sometimes a lot of people, I've seen a lot of warrants go through the system, get served, and do it, and then you're looking at it later. It's got the wrong name. It's got the wrong date of birth. It's got the wrong address. Because cops have templates, and when we're doing our warrants and we're changing some of the information, sometimes we miss some things. And so the warrant go through there, the DA doesn't catch it, the cop doesn't catch it, the judge doesn't catch it, we serve the warrant. Does that make the warrant illegal? The defense will argue that, but it doesn't. Because a minor mistake or something with no intent, the judge will rule the warrant's still good on its face. The officer didn't lie, the probable cause statement was right, they hit the house they wanted to hit, etc. Now if it was a big, huge case with a lot of media attention, maybe a judge would get on front TV and go, well, technically there should be a comma here instead of a period, so I'm going to throw out the warrant. Yeah, he can do that. That's why, you know what, young officers, when they get warrants or they get evidence suppressed, sometimes they get their feelings hurt and God, that judge is full of shit and that DA should have. And I used to do that when I was younger, but after a while you're like, it's a big freaking game. You do what you're supposed to do. You let the others do what they're going to do. You can't control them. You can only control what you do. You do the best honest job you can. You let the chips fall to me. And the guy walks, he freaking walks. You know, the old saying, better 1,000 guilty people go free than one innocent person go to jail. I don't care. You know, it didn't get personal to me, especially toward the end of my career. Shit. Let them all go. I don't give a shit. I'm getting paid. I'm doing a good job. I'm putting him in jail. If you let him out and he kills somebody else, that's going to be on you, and I'm going to be the one that's going to say, I had this piece of shit and the judge let him go. And you'd be like, oh, you can't talk to the press. That's against policy. Well, guess what? I just did. So, I mean, you know, a young officer can't do that because it'll end the career, but once you get vested and you're ready to retire, shit. Last couple years I was in, I didn't give a shit. I was like, so what? I get out of here 2 years early and I collect my retirement later? Don't mess with me. I'm doing the right thing, what I think is right, and I don't care about the bullshit. And young officers can't do that. They got to worry about their career and all that shit. They can't take your pension once you're vested, it's yours. Most they can do is fire you and you wait a year or two till you reach the age limit to get your pension. So anyway, so I went off on a lot of tangents, but hopefully you kind of understand the mindset of officers and what goes on to our thinking as far as, you know, is it one thing that gets somebody pulled over? Are cops out there just pulling people over because they're black? Are you kidding me? Good Lord, we'd have cops on track. You'd have sergeant, you'd have everybody pissed off if we started stopping a bunch of black people and never gave them a ticket or arrested them. The reason why you don't have that is because most of the times when we stop people, we give tickets or somebody goes to jail. And then people want to go, you're stopping them because they're black. Yeah, okay, well, you keep believing that. I've even had white people tell me, you're stopping me because I'm white. Because when you stop black people, you know you'll get in trouble. I'm like, shut the hell up, you big dummy. Hi, Moki. All right. Moki, what are you doing? Say goodbye to YouTubies. Like, whatever, Dad. I gotta lick something. All right, we'll end that there.